Happy Saturday, and welcome to the Ram Ashram Satsang Weekend Workshop, where you'll learn a modern Satsang method for obtaining peace, light, and love in your life. My name is Eddie, and I will be introducing the facilitator for today's event. But first, I'd like to give you a brief overview of this Satsang session. If you direct your attention towards your screen, you'll see the first element is Satsang. Satsang is a scientific method whereby we may obtain peace, light, and love in our life. It requires no physical skill, spiritual accomplishment, or meditation experience to begin its practice. Satsang consists of two words, Sat and Sang. Sat means positive energy, and Sang means to be with or to be in the presence of. Therefore, the word Satsang means to be in the presence of positive energy. The next element is meditation. Meditation is an important part of Satsang. When we meditate, we withdraw consciousness from worldly objects and direct it inwards to focus on a single thought. In doing so, our minds become calm and our thoughts become pure, thereby allowing us to obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. Inner orientation. There are two types of satsang, inner satsang and outer satsang. An example of outer satsang would be chanting or attending pilgrimages. When we practice outer satsang, we have the potential to change our behavior, but only through the practice of inner satsang can we obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. The satsang that you will learn today is an inner satsang where we meditate in silence. Group session. These weekend workshops are structured for group participation. When we meditate as a group, our focus is improved and our personal progress along our spiritual path is expedited. By regularly attending these weekend workshops, the benefits of group participation are amplified. Joy and inner happiness. All beings wish to experience joy. Joy is the eternal longing of the soul, but only through the practice of inner satsang can we obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. The agenda for today consists of 3 sessions: the informative session, the practice session, and the interactive session. During the informative session, a lecture will be given about a satsang topic, the founder, or some relevant spiritual topic. During the practice session, instruction will be given on how to meditate, followed by a period of practice. During the interactive session, you have the opportunity to ask questions, or there will be a panel discussion. And now, I'd like to introduce the facilitator for today's event. He has over 40 years of satsang experience. He's the grandson of Guru Maharaj, the founder of Ram Ashram Satsang. He was born into a satsang family where he experienced his family members obtain states of enlightenment and lead lives of peace, light, and love. At an early age, he began traveling with the mission throughout India, facilitating satsangs. And during that time, he witnessed the positive effects that satsang could have on mankind. And upon arriving to the United States, both he and his wife continued to facilitate satsangs for local satsangees. He has led teams of satsang members in translating important satsang literature into English and has worked tirelessly to make satsang more accessible to Western and English-speaking audiences. He currently travels throughout the United States, England, and India facilitating satsangs while maintaining his duties as a husband, a father, and an IT executive. Today, he will teach us a rare and ancient form of satsang as taught by Guru Maharaj. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sanjeev Kumarji.
Hi, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm still energized with the immersive weekend in person we had in Connecticut last weekend. And that was also my grandfather's birthday. One of the sessions I talked about, the monkey mind. This question had come up several times in these sessions, that we can't meditate, can't concentrate. The our mind just doesn't let us focus during the meditation. And so I also visited India in September, where there was this urban retreat 3-day session where there were actually 3 days, 5 sessions, in the home of Panditji Maharaj, whose photo you're seeing here. He was one of the big proponents of Guru Maharaj's, my grandfather's practice, and he traveled quite a lot. He wrote a book on what, I'm translating a bit of it, and I think the title would be Self-Realization, a Journey. And in that, much later in the book, he talks about why we can't concentrate, why we can't sit down and feel that we're connecting, we're feeling the presence, and we're deep into meditation as we ought to be when we meditate, and which we will shortly. But I thought I'll talk a little bit about what contributes to our not being able to focus. And we try, and the more we try, the more worse it gets some days. And then people say, "Oh, this is not for me. Oh, I just can't," and so on and so forth. But one of the tenets my grandfather focused on was, this is for everyone. There are no prerequisites. But then, obviously, if you want to have a deeper, more refreshing, more positivity inculcating meditation, then, one of the chapters in this book, Panditji Maharaj talks about a few things that we need to think about. So I was thinking about, and thanks, Eddie, for this satsang overview that you do. And one of the points there is inward orientation. But what happens is our 5 senses continually make us go outwards. And Yuan, if you could bring that other slide here. So when we talk about 5 senses, Deepak Chopra talks about self-awareness is your awareness of the world, which you experience through 5 senses: sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell. Pay attention to your sensory impressions and be aware of those 5 ways the world comes to you. Now, interesting is that, Yuan, let's go back to the other one. The interesting thing is any of those 5 senses become overpowering. So what happens, instead of the inward orientation that we need during the meditation, we become outwardly oriented. And, self-awareness and all that, how we perceive the world, and all that is happening through those 5 senses. So that's fine. But when one of them is out of balance, when it becomes overpowering, and you could, see that happening so many times when you're too hungry. It's as simple as that. It's like your attention is elsewhere. But then, that may be some of these outward orientation aspects can really become our like almost acquired nature. And somewhere I was reading, it's like we start calling it, oh, that's my personality. The question I think he asks when he's describing this point is that who's the boss? Who's in charge? Is your consciousness taking charge, or you're caught up in the clutches of your own mind? So mind and brain should operate under your guidance. And sometimes we think we are our minds. So mind and brain should operate under your guidance, under the guidance of your consciousness. So if we flip that, then you would hear your inner voice clearly, and you would be far more intuitive. So, I think in this context, is like, there are these five senses become the thugs that have taken over, and they're looting in broad daylight. That's how, but anyway. So this particular point that, inward orientation during meditation requires that, for the rest of the time, whatever it is, but during the meditation, we need to focus inwards. And we'll talk about that before we practice. But so we have to keep that in mind. A lot of times, one of these senses is overpowering, and because of that, we are unable to focus, unable to concentrate, unable to meditate. I'll talk about one or two more points, and then we'll continue this discussion in other sessions. So the next one is very interesting. And I have a video, and maybe folks who have access to those videos, there is one about the three energies. So to keep it simple, positive energy, negative energy, and then there is a blend, which is more action-oriented, more passion and ambition-oriented. Most of the time in our worldly interactions, what is happening is that the other two, which is the negative energy, which continues to draw our energy down, and this somewhat action-oriented. I mean, you have to live, you have to work, you have to do things, but then when it goes tips over a little further, then it takes over. So when you have so many thoughts in your mind, so many projects, goals, ambitions, all good, nothing against them, but when they start consuming you in some ways, that it's almost like, yes, you have to be driving fast in your lane, but then you have to be aware of your blind spots. And in the sense that when you're meditating, we have to take a break, right? So to give an extreme example here is like, think about workaholics. I mean, I have been one in my past, and what happens is that you lose sleep, you suffer insomnia, you don't find time for people in your life. It could be wife, kids, parents, friends, and so if it is just a short period of time, I mean, we can all adjust. But when it becomes a lifestyle, it it comes, everything, there's no free lunch. So everything comes with a price. But in the context here, we're talking about when the state of mind is preoccupied with some very pressing goals and ambitions, and that could come in your way. I mean, even good things have sometimes strange side effects. So what I find very interesting is that when you are very, very busy, when you're doing lots of things, which may be a lot of good things, you still need to take a break. Like if you don't sleep for a couple of days, you will know, right? So once you get in this cycle of meditation, once you integrate it into your lifestyle, what you would realize is that you will know when you have not meditated, the day you haven't meditated, or for a few days if you haven't meditated, and a few weeks. So, and the third point is also very related to the three energy video. And I don't know if someone can share that in the chat, or I'll send out an email. So negativity, right? So interestingly, in that three energies video, what I'm talking about is that there are days when you sit, you close your eyes for meditation, and some days it's like you're just in a beautiful place. It's energizing. It's all the good things that meditation should bring. But then, my father used to talk about these three states quite a lot. And so there are days when you close your eyes and a burst of thoughts, like almost like a movie, start coming through. So that's the second stage, the passions and ambition stage, of meditation. It's like you close your eyes and there is stuff that you have seen, not seen, recent, past, future, etc. Just, stuff. And my father used to say it's just cleansing. It's there are things in there that needs to settle before you go into the more positive territory. Nothing wrong with it. It's just part and parcel of the journey. Just keep with it. Then there is this third state where you close your eyes and you're like dark. It's instead of feeling good, positive, and light and everything, you're seeing completely the opposite. That happens in some phases of meditation as well. And again, I mean, just sit through it is the advice, or keep observing your mind, and it'll cut through that as well. So when negativity is on the rise, you're lethargic, you're like, oh, what if you skip today? What if you skip this week, etc. Sometimes you just, sleepy, and so on and so forth. So they're also same thing, so all these situations in the backdrop will affect your ability to meditate, ability to concentrate. And we'll talk about these other points in another session. Maybe one or two of these things we could take up after our practice. Let's get into it. So, Yuan, if you could bring the other slide. Inward orientation and concentration, those are the two key points when you want to get into deep meditation. interestingly, Maharishi Patanjali, one of the core founding fathers of yoga philosophy, he has 8 limbs where asanas and pranayams, the physical exercises, breathing exercises, behavior patterns, the yam and niyams. Apart from that, there are these 4 other limbs that he talks about in his 8 limbs of yoga, the Ashtanga yoga: inward orientation, concentration, meditation, and higher consciousness. So those are all 4 of these are basically core part of a meditative practice. And I describe that as inner yoga. And Guru Maharaj's process basically focuses on these 4, and the other 4, like behavior, your well-being, all that is also a byproduct, but focuses on these 4. So you focus on the inner orientation and concentration. That leads to deep meditation, and that leads to higher consciousness. That's the process. So for inward orientation, 2 things are very important. So one, you should meditate morning, evening, or at least once a day. If not, try to have group sessions, because the collective energy is good for naturally pulling your consciousness to a higher level. So in these meditation sessions, what you are to do during the meditation, because here we're targeting deep silent meditation, which we do for about 15, 20 minutes. So we start with music that helps concentration. For inward orientation, sitting still and eyes lightly closed, because the sensory input from the eyes is very distracting. So eyes lightly closed and a still posture, because every time your body moves, your mind moves with it, right? So for concentration and inward orientation, sitting still, any relaxed posture. Try to keep your spine straight and the chin a little inwards for a better posture, but any relaxed posture where your body is still for the time of meditation is good posture. And then eyes lightly closed. So eyes lightly closed, still posture. So that helps inward orientation. And now to focus. So from multitudes of thoughts, from outward attention, how do you go inwards? So you basically think about transcendental energy in form of light right here, right now with us, and that it's in front of us, and that light is entering our heart. So you see it entering your heart, that's inward orientation. Now the focus is inwards, and this light is then distributing throughout your body, and you're becoming one with this light. So that's the entire dharana, or object of concentration, or what you're trying to manifest. What you're trying to manifest is this transcendental energy in form of light that's entering your heart, distributing throughout your body, and you're becoming one with this light. So that's the only activity or only thought process. So there is actually no activity, it's just one thought. So we want to give the mind this one manifestation, one thought, and one thought alone. So from barrage of thoughts, try to focus on one, and then you will drop even that one during deep meditation. So as I said, it'll start with music that helps concentration. All you're doing is focusing on the feeling the presence of this transcendental energy in form of light that's entering your heart, distributing throughout your body, and you are becoming, totally immersed in this light. Mind will wander away, which it usually does. So when you see that mind has wandered away, you bring it back to this thought and this thought alone. So you can do other things, mindfulness and chanting or whatever else you do before or after. It actually will help that other practice as well. So again, just still posture, eyes lightly closed. Think of this transcendental energy in form of light. It's right here, right now with us. You're feeling that connection and feel the presence. And this energy in form of light is entering your heart, distributing throughout your body, and you're becoming completely and totally immersed in it. Mind wanders away, bring it back. And that's your manifestation. And you'll start with music. You keep your focus on that. And then music fades away, go into deep silent meditation, and then we transition out with music again. Let's start. So happy Saturday, everyone. And actually, thanks for being here and making this. I think the collective energy today was really awesome. And I think for next couple of sessions, I would focus on this topic. What helps concentration, meditation, like a better meditation, what works, what doesn't work, and I think another thread that is kind of correlated is that, and this is an open question, this after meditation, I mean, we want to discuss something related, but also want to open it up for questions, comments, and sharing of thoughts. The thought that what I have found is like these virtual sessions, I love them. I started in 2010, I think, in a very, connecting with people from India, from Europe, and Arvindji is here from London and a few others from Europe. Time and like space and distance shouldn't matter with meditation. I think we should collapse all that. But the challenge with these sessions is like the in-person energy is obviously much, much deeper, broader. And you don't have an option to keep your video off, for example. That's one thread. But actually, what the thread that I have been thinking about, I mean, after doing all these sessions, I'm all for, whatever meditation process works for you. I'm actually maybe biased, but I feel that this process could help augment, complement, in some cases replace, but that's not the real goal. The goal is that you get better at meditation. And there, I think, do you think about meditation as an event, a session, or do you really want to inculcate that into your lifestyle, into your, how do you integrate that into your day-to-day? Personally, that's what was the goal of this practice. Guru Maharaj used to say that 23 hours, do whatever, but then take this 1 hour every day for yourself, for your practice, for meditating, which is, infinite times more powerful than sleep, which is extremely important. But that won't take you to higher consciousness and higher awareness. This will. So on that note, Liz, how are you doing?
Happy Saturday, everyone. I am well. Sorry, my kitty wants to join us.
I think sometimes my dogs also come sit by me. I think they must be benefiting from the positive energy too.
I agree. I think so. Well, I had a wonderful time as usual meditating with you all. I actually had a very much a monkey mind this morning. I have just changed jobs. I have a new job now, and like
congratulations.
I have a lot of, thank you. Yes, it's better. Cool. I have a lot of things on my mind, so it was like all of my thoughts are like sticking to my mind, and it was hard to really meditate. But I don't know if this is sanctioned by you as a technique, but I had my window open and there was like rustling wind outside. And I mean, like the wind was rustling against the leaves. And that sometimes just that sound helped me to like kind of refocus my energy, on meditation. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it did help a little bit to focus on that sound, calming sound of nature. But other than that, it was still beneficial for me to join you.
Yeah,
and I'm happy I did.
Oh, always glad to have you here. And like everyone else. Yeah, see, the interesting thing is there are lots of things. I think, there is a second part to this whole discussion about what gets into the way of concentration. There is like what helps. And as you mentioned, I think sometimes there are several things in nature which would help. But, it depends in the sense that everything in the context, right? So once you go deeper, and obviously like there are phases and situations where the monkey mind is at work and more at work, let's say. But then the question becomes, and I have been fortunate to be with people who were the masters of art, right? Like real masters, in the sense that I remember I was very young, so decades ago, my father took me to a session in Delhi, and it was in Old Delhi. Old Delhi is very crowded, very congested. And lo and behold, where this meditation, like there were probably lots of people. And the location was right next to a temple. And that temple would do these, bell sounds when they used to do an arti, which is like a prayer. And that used to coincide with the morning session. And there were like bells ringing, like loud bells. And we're trying to meditate here. and I remember, so today I was, Pandit Mihilalji, who, we just saw, I was translating some of his work today. And he mentioned, like, this is a test. If you can meditate while the bells are ringing, then you have achieved, a deeper practice. So, yeah, I mean, but I am for anything that helps. It's such. It just reminded me of that. That was an interesting one.
Thank you for sharing that story.
More extreme example, but it was. But believe me, I believe, and I have actually, I can kind of relate to it as well, that once you get to, your practice really becomes deep. There could be loud music outside. There might be a parade going on. When you're meditating, you're meditating. So we ought to get to that space. But, we're all in the journey, quote unquote. So Arvindji, I think you might remember Panditji Maharaj. I don't know if you were on that particular session in Delhi, but I distinctly remember that one.
Namaskar, Bhaiya, and Namaskar, everyone. Happy Saturday, everybody. Again, very fortunate to join this blissful satsang. Thanks to you, Puja Bhaiya. Yeah, I think I may have been there in New Delhi. It was around Dashera time, Param Puja Panditji Maharaj said, and I think he said around that session or later session, that if when it rains, in Southeast Asia, it rains, and the rainy season is monsoon. So, unlike in England, for example, it drizzles all the time. But there, it's dry, and then there's rainy season. When there's rainy season, the farmers, what they do is they quickly put mud, and all the, raise the level of the farm at the edges to preserve that water, which is going to be, which is precious. So he said that example. He said in Hindi, "Barsat padti hai, to samajhdar kisan mede maan lete hain." So when there is that bliss, when there is that connection, as Eddie said, Sat and Sang, that, what you bring to us, Puja Bhaiya, if I may say so, what Guru Maharaj through you brings to the likes of us, is the possibility, the opportunity to connect with that in the presence of Sat. And so said quickly, hang in there and absorb as much as you can whilst you can. That's what comes to mind. And the other thing that comes to mind is what Parapuj Papaji says, and you rightly showed us and shared with us the negativities that can, that can block our way, that can, that can delay our access to Sat, and as Papaji said, and you've said this before, solar cooker, if my solar cooker is helter-skelter, it's never going to absorb that sun's energy. It's going to be in the darkness. I'll stumble, fumble, fall, and break a leg. And then I'll have that fracture repaired. But, coming back to solar energy, we need to be directed towards the Sat, towards you, towards Guru Maharaj. And Param Puj Papaji also used to say, try to surrender, learn in time to surrender man ke vichar, the thoughts of one's mind, the intellect, buddhi ka gyan, the intellect, chit ki akankshaएं, the desires or aspirations, and the ahankar, the I and the me and the ego. So learn over time to surrender that to your Satguru, and to that Sat. And over time, if you do that, things start to happen, which more than obviously. But again, so fortunate to join. Puja Bhaiya, thank you for that opportunity you give us. There is no word of thanks. And one last thought, that bliss that comes from his grace, from your grace, if one connects for that moment, I think one does not forget that moment of bliss and grace ever in their life. And there's nothing, if I can say at my age of 65 so far, there's nothing in this world, I repeat, nothing that compares with that grace and that bliss that Guru Maharaj's blessing brings through you. Thank you. Namaskar.
So it's kind of interesting that when thanks, Liz. What I find is that these group sessions, especially, and you can try. You can do individual meditation and then try a few sessions, come to a group session, and you will find a very significantly higher experience, in the sense of connection, in the sense of presence, in the sense of feeling positive. The collective energy, I think, I don't know, it's hard for me to describe, but I have experienced that through years, that when I, after all these decades, even now, if I sit alone versus when I come into these group sessions, it's almost like seamless, it's effortless almost, and takes me to a higher level and deeper level of connection than otherwise. So yeah, it's that also is definitely there. It's that aspect is unique in some ways as well. And Oscar, glad you're here. You're welcome to join anytime, part of the tribe. It's like a support system for people who want to connect with the deep self. That's it. So Carrie, Hina, Cassandra, Taru, Jeff, yeah, really glad that you all are here. Any other thoughts before we wrap up? So Hina, my question is how to completely let go. That's a tough one. Someone who you have soul ties with and you choose to move on and want to let go. That's another reason why it will be hard for us to concentrate and meditate, and that's has been a challenge for people across ages, across cultures, across phases in life. So see, the thing is, if one thing is attracting us towards or consuming our mind in some ways, and you want to change that, a very I wouldn't call it easy. I was about to say that, but the approach would be that say if something is attracting me, and let's forget about this person situation for now. Anything negative, anything even positive, which has some negative connotations, and we want to get away from. In his chapter on inner peace, Guru Maharaj talks about replace it with an equal and opposite thought process. So what is an equal and opposite thought process? So if I start, connection with the transcendental energy in any form, any belief system, any, to me, you have to create a equal and opposite force. So what he's, in his tips and tricks on how do we get more peaceful, how do we get in a better place internally, distract your mind. So, it could be as simple as just getting into some hobbies and stuff like that. Then take some equal and opposite, thought process. So something that would take your mind off of it. But meditation to me is like, in your step towards, peace and quiet, coming to a current state, present moment, that would be very helpful. So how do we do that? Like just a quick mindful breathing exercise could do that. If you take this process where you are, trying to take your mind away from everything, just focus on this positive energy, this transcendental energy in form of light. So if you initially, it will be a little tough, but if you just continually practice, this can replace, all anguish, grief, attachments, eventually. This is a very, very powerful practice. I have seen lots of such cases where just, a few days, it may not be, it could be even faster, but a few days, a couple of weeks, if you practice regularly, just sit for 10, 15 minutes, even if your monkey mind is not in control, just do this. You will find, peace and quiet, and a lessening of the attachment, lessening of this whole, mind, which is all consumed in one direction. And so try it. Otherwise, I think I can, in one of my sessions, I could bring back the whole tips and tricks on how do you get to inner peace in this not so conducive situations in current world. And so Cassandra, thank you so much for what you have said. I haven't been able to meditate for over 10 years. The memory of deep bliss has brought me back here. It is so good to be reminded of monkey mind and shown how to be. Thank you very much. Peace and love. So yeah, Hina, I think mind is such that it kind of occupies and gets consumed into things. This practice, what I found was, once you get a little deeper, your ability to let go wouldn't appear in 1 or 2 sessions, unfortunately, I think. But with this practice, you will continue to, grow into a person who has more control and has the ability to let go a lot more. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely find some things that you already like a lot. Any hobbies? I mean, I sometimes like when my mind is not getting off something, I'll just go watch a movie which I like. So, but I would definitely recommend that you practice this, start with 5-10 minutes and continue. So what about self-love? Wow, this is even a tougher question. So, interesting. How would I say this? Like we don't know God, we all talk about it. We also don't know about self. We think we do. So this practice is about self-realization, which is like my existence is not dependent on other things. I am complete. So you're so complete and you are so powerful and you're so full of love, light, and peace that so if that's the self that you want to get in love with, I'm all for it. But if till we get to that state where we realized who really we are, we go through a evolution, which is a vertical evolution, where once you control your tone your body, tone your breathing, tone your mind, then your brain starts working like literally differently. Actually, I was watching a PBS show about brain plasticity. What they're learning is that your behavior changes your brain. And I think it's a catch-22. I think your brain changes your behavior and your behavior changes your brain. So this brain plasticity, the context here is that when you control your mind and your emotions are in control, the functions of your mind, your capabilities of your mind get to the next level. And it really, this brain plasticity I'm talking about, because it gets hardwired differently. And that is when you start understanding how integral you are to the nature, how integral you are to the consciousness beyond yourself, and how integrally you are connected with all conscious beings, and how consciousness is all pervasive. And that consciousness is you. So if you are talking about this universal collective consciousness, which is no different than your consciousness, and if that is what you would call self-love, then I'm going for it. So, a convoluted answer. But Eddie or Arvindji or anyone would like to add some more to this?
If I may, you've absolutely, if I may humbly say, you've hit the point on the nail. Persons, one's inner self, if, as you say, when the connections are made, we are part of the whole. No man is an island, no country a sea, and only if a promontory were. So we're that ocean of light, love, and peace, which is the love of Guru Maharaj, which is Sat, with which we are trying to be in the presence of. If in time one realizes that one is a drop from that same ocean, then one is able to look at oneself in a different light, but only through the light of that sun, the powerful sun of Sat that, you bring to us. The other thought that came to my mind, as you rightly said, is neuroplasticity. And as you know, I worked as a clinician before. Neuroplasticity is very evidence-based. There's a lot of fMRI, functional MRI, and PET scan imaging studies. You Google it, you'll find it. The fact that the behavior, as you rightly said, the behavior changes the brain physiology, which is initially chemical, GABAergic, serotonergic, noradrenergic, cholinergic, neurochemical transmitted. And over time, that chemical becomes hardwired because the synaptic, junctions start to be almost hardwired. In other words, that same repetitive end plate, stimulation, it connects and it becomes constant. So what you said is really supported by science, Pooji Bhaiya. And again, I'm fortunate to be in this light with everybody here. So thank you. Thank you.
So we got carried away today, but in a good way. So Eddie, what's the final word? And hopefully things will get better. So our all collective energies would help. I'm positive. Yeah, Eddie, please.
Yesterday, I would just affirm what you and Arvindji said about this being satsang, these online sessions being a special opportunity for us to gather and collect as much of this transcendental energy as we can. This is the opportunity for that. And if we want to improve our progress, meaning to calm our minds and be able to focus more. It's dependent on the amount of transcendental energy that we accumulate and maintain. And so these are the perfect opportunities for us, these weekend workshops, to gather that energy and collect as much as we can to help us in that journey upwards.
Absolutely. So again, everyone who contributed, and to me, people who have asked questions or commented and shared their thoughts, but really everyone who's here has contributed to this collective energy, and we are all supporting each other towards achieving a higher self, so that self-love becomes the love of the world, or the universe, or the consciousness. Higher consciousness is nothing but something we all can be, and live better human lives that way. All right, on that note, we'll see you all soon. Link remains the same, time remains the same, and Tuesday is 7 p.m. Eastern and Saturday is 10 a.m. So we'll see you all soon again. Be the light. Be what you want to be, what you expect from others. Be that light. Thank you.
Namaste, Bhaiya. Namaste, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
You too.
Namaskar, Bhaiya.